Dave Ramsey's advice about buying an Airbnb is wrong. And here's a recent example. A woman named Kathy called in to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hello. Thank you, Dave, for taking my call.
My
it's really
pleasure.
Great to get to talk to you.
You too.
Kathy and her husband are retired and completely debt-free, but they want to take out a loan against their home in order to buy an Airbnb property in North Carolina.
And I've been wondering if it would be smart to invest in an Airbnb rental, and the one I'm looking at is about $280.
So Dave says,
We'll borrow against our house.
Mm-hmm. No, you won't.
No surprise here, but Dave and this other guy, Ken Coleman, start listing out all the reasons why you should never buy an Airbnb. As a successful short-term rental investor and an asset protection lawyer that helps clients protect their wealth, I have a few bones to pick with Dave. I'm going to walk you through what Dave got right, what he certainly got wrong, and what Kathy decided to do.
And so this is not like, I'm going to just go to the mailbox and collect a bunch of checks because Airbnb is a big deal. No, it's not. It's a lot of work.
If you've ever invested in real estate, ever, they all require work. Finding the deal, working the numbers, rehabbing the property, listing it, finding the right guests, you name it, the list goes on and on. As much as we love the idea of real estate being passive income, we all know that it takes a ton of work to be successful. So my issue here is Dave claiming that Airbnb takes a lot of work. That's a half-truth. All real estate investing takes work.
But you are getting ready to start a new small business. That's what renting an Airbnb is. It's a lot of work. It's very similar to running a hotel.
A true business owner doesn't own a job. They own a system, and they pay others to run the system. I have multiple short-term rentals all around the country, just like my clients do. And I can tell you that running an Airbnb is nothing like running a hotel. I don't talk with the guests, I don't clean the properties, and I don't make the repairs. I run a team that runs my business. And technology makes it so easy. Apps like OwnerRez and Guesty make it easy for guests to send in messages and requests. And if you set it up right, all of your responses can be automated through the systems. We've got wonderful and reliable cleaners, and we find a local handyman that will be available for repairs and emergencies. When you put in the work to build the system, you don't have to work nearly as hard later to reap the rewards.
All these years we've
Keep in mind, when you have an Airbnb, you have a new tenant every 4 days.
Yes.
We're talking hassle factor, we're talking risk factor, damage, police being called, neighbors griping at you, all kinds of stuff that you hadn't even thought about.
I have two things to address. First is the police being called. As an investor, you get to influence what type of customers you are targeting. If you buy an Airbnb in a low-end part of town, you're going to attract a low-end client and you're going to have problems. But if you invest in higher-end properties and attract customers that meet your standards, many of your problems will go away. Plus, higher-end properties have higher profit margins so that you make more money and you manage fewer properties. But Dave also mentioned about the neighbors complaining. There's an easy solution. Noise Aware and Ring doorbells will alert your team if there's any loud noises or problems. That will allow your team to be able to address any issues.
There's starting to be a backlash, both politically, like people are calling zoning on it, and they're saying some cities have passed it's just illegal, period.
Actually, this is all 100% true, but it really shouldn't scare you. The backlash is happening because Airbnbs are popping up in cities with no regulation, and those cities are scrambling to deal with it. But if you go to places like Orlando or Destin or the Outer Banks of North Carolina, these are places that love tourists. They love short-term rental investors, and they have existing regulations that are friendly to investors so that you have very little chance of being left on the hook with your property. I'm not a huge fan of heavy regulation, but in this case, it lowers your risk as an investor, and it's a huge win for the economy.
If you want to make more money on residential real estate, buy cheap houses in bad ends of town. But guess what? You've got a higher hassle factor. You're dealing with people tearing up stuff. You're dealing with them running drugs or prostitution out of your house. You're dealing with all this other crap, potentially. I used to have a whole bunch of those properties. That's how I know. So you're just dealing with the different things.
I hate to say it, but I agree with Dave 100% on this point. But that hassle factor is why I don't buy cheap houses in a bad part of town. If you or Kathy really wants to get into real estate without any hassle, there's nothing wrong with considering real estate investment trusts, or maybe real estate syndications, or partnering up with someone who will take care of the work for you. All those alternatives do take some work to learn and understand, but Kathy Kathy could do all of that without leaving her backyard. So what did Kathy decide?
You want to buy
My
you?
husband is going to be so glad for when I tell him this. 'Cause
It sounds like Dave talked Kathy out of the idea of investing in an Airbnb, which is a shame. Because if the investor had taken the time to do their own research and not rely on Dave's word alone, it may have been more encouraging for them to realize the risk reward for considering Airbnbs. For example, if you're still determined to build your Airbnb empire, you need to know what risks you face about possibly being sued and what you can do to protect yourself from those risks as you build your portfolio. Check out my next video where I walk through how I used to win a lot of cases against Airbnb owners and how to protect yourself. See you there.